Target is the seasonal display section. I don't even give a shit. I don't care. I don't even care if they have like fucking tuck-friendly children's bathing suits. Like, I don't even give a fuck about that. You know what I mean? Who cares? It's clothing. Shut the fuck up. Like, even if they were making like tuck-friendly children's clothing, like, you know what? I'm not a fucking freak, dude. Okay? I don't care. I do not care. This does not indicate anything about society because I'm not some fucking weirdo, loser, gross pervert. Okay? Holy fuck. Fucking weirdos, man. Absolute fucking freaks.
I left a prescription at a pharmacy once. I went to get birth control, and I was there at the counter and went to pay for it, and the price was very, very high. I said, wow, is this a 3-6-month prescription? No, ma'am, this is 1 month. And I said, it's cheaper to have a kid. And I left it there, and now I have
So first of all, it's not.
my third son, Caden Bobert. And so I'm actually, it was turned out to be a really great thing.
Dude, that's awesome. She's like, yeah, no, it's better to have. That's crazy. She's like, yeah, it's better to have like more expensive birth control because then you'll have more children. Also, oh my God, naming her child Caden. Of course she did that. Of course she did that. There is not a Braden, Caden, and Eileen are happy to be my child. Braden, Caden, okay then. Anyway, let's get to the Stinky, okay? Ron the Stinky. He's announcing running for president tomorrow. I got to go pee. I got to go grab my food real quick. And it's popping. It's DeSantis season, baby. Population. All of us.
All right, big fanfare here now. This is a Fox News alert, and Fox News has confirmed that Florida Governor Ron DeSantis will announce his candidacy for president tomorrow. Let's bring in Brett Baer, anchor and executive editor of Special Report. Brett, we hear that the announcement is going to take place 6 p.m. tomorrow night in a Twitter Space conversation that Ron DeSantis will have with Elon Musk. Wow. It doesn't get much bigger than that.
That's one way to do it.
Yeah.
That's right. John, Jillian, good afternoon. I think we obviously all saw this coming, and it was going to happen, forecast to be this week, and now we have the specifics of how it's going to happen. Tomorrow, 6 p.m. Eastern Time, Governor Ron DeSantis will officially become a candidate for the presidency in 2024. The interesting thing about it is, one, his choice of venue, using Twitter, an interview with Elon Musk, that springboard perhaps to touch the MAGA faithful. And also that he has made his rounds. He has been to Iowa, New Hampshire, South Carolina, Nevada. He's been to other states already, and now the official campaign begins. So the question will be whether he closes the gap with the former president or whether this becomes a real brawl. We've already seen the former president, Donald Trump, spend more money on Ron DeSantis through his PAC and ads than they spent on supporting candidates in the midterms of 2022. That's a pretty staggering fact.
Brett, we've been talking about DeSantis's potential candidacy for months. Why do you think the team decided now or tomorrow is the moment?
Well, that's a great question. I thought there was some thought that we were going to wait until the end of the legislative session, which might have been all the way to June. There may have been a thought that he was losing ground and taking some shots. The Disney back and forth didn't necessarily benefit him entirely. There are some people who said he fought valiantly, but really Disney fought back.
Wrong.
So I think there have been some missteps along the way as far as the planning and the strategy, and maybe they thought it's better now to get in than not.
Yeah, so when we talk about the timing for getting in, a lot of people thought that DeSantis waited too long already. As you pointed out, maybe he thought that he was losing ground. But I think it's worthwhile pointing out that Donald Trump got into the race in 2015 on June the 14th, his birthday. So that's still 3 weeks from where we are now. So, you know, if you use Trump as a measure, DeSantis still had some time. But when you take a look at the Real Clear Politics average of polls I've got up in front of me here, Trump is still in the average 37 points ahead of DeSantis. A lot can change as the campaign gets underway and support waxes and wanes. But that feels like, at this point, an insurmountable lead, Brett.
Yeah, and it definitely does at the beginning. And the former president will say it's over. You know, and his supporters will say it's done. We shouldn't even have this primary. But there is a primary, and Governor DeSantis is going to be, he has a lot of money. We just saw Senator Tim Scott get in the race with $20+ million plus some significant backers. Ron DeSantis has much more than that, and he will be a formidable candidate on the trail. The question is whether he takes off and where the trajectory goes. We understand the first interviews with Trey Gowdy on FNC at 8 p.m.
Brett, talk to us about why you think the campaign chose the venue, which you mentioned off the top. He's going to announce this thing tomorrow on Twitter Spaces. I haven't done a fact check, but I believe this is a first for a presidential candidate, a major party candidate. And also,
He's a fucking idiot. That's why. But we'll see. We'll actually see. I'm not so bearish on Twitter's possible capabilities of elevating the conversation. Not internally on Twitter, obviously, but I do think that the secondary market for whatever happens on Twitter is big because all the journalists are on Twitter. Okay? That's the reality. That's something you got to always remember. All the journalists are on Twitter, so whatever happens on Twitter does get an elevated status. Okay? They do, because journalists love covering dumb shit on Twitter. Okay? So I do think that that will not have the same national prominence immediately that it would if it was on Fox News. But I do think that it might have a lot of doing a presidential announcement on Twitter Spaces is moron coded. I agree. That's what I'm thinking. That's what I'm thinking as well. However, remember, what happens on Twitter is always going to get a lot of media coverage. Now, it's more so that would you get more media coverage if you were on Fox News and people would cover it on media anyway? Probably. So for that reason, I still think it's stupid, but I don't think it's as stupid as we suspect it is. You know what I mean? Especially because Elon Musk is on there too now all of a sudden.
Also, this is not a segment about Elon, but what's in it for Elon?
Well, listen, he has been very deferential, let's say, to Governor DeSantis and has at one point said that he would support DeSantis if he ran for president. I don't know how that evolved or where he is now, but clearly the fact that he is doing this interview suggests that he at least supports him in some way. The fact that Elon Musk has been this figure of free speech, of anti-woke, of letting people get there on the platform, for the MAGA crowd, for the base, that's significant and it means a lot. And I think Ron DeSantis is trying to touch that. He knows he's under attack from the former president and will continue to be as those ads continue to pile up.
Elon Musk is also trying to turn Twitter back into a $44 billion company. So the more attention that he can put on it, I think the more helpful it will be for Musk to get it back up there. We saw some pictures just a moment ago of Ron DeSantis and Casey DeSantis. And it seems to me that based on that Politico article of a few days ago, that she is going to factor prominently in this campaign as well. And she will be under a level of scrutiny that the presumed nominee's spouse on the other side, Dr. Joe Biden, likely won't be. Speak to that for just a little bit, because this piece that was done on her was widely seen as a very unfair, some people said misogynistic hit piece.
Yeah. You know, it's interesting. She is someone who, if you talk to donors who have been in the room with the DeSantises, they say that she works the room and that she lights up the room, and that, you know, she's a former TV personality, TV anchor. She has a big personality and she can identify with folks. She's really good, especially with wives of business leaders, or with business leaders who are women. She's done her own events that have identified and really touched a chord. She obviously had her battle with cancer as well. So she is a real asset to Governor DeSantis. And to any fault that he has in working a room or not asking questions to everybody there, she kind of makes up for that. I think just anecdotally, he's gotten better about how he works a room and how he asks questions in recent months. But she's a real asset, and you're right, that piece was a little over the top.
Brett, DeSantis' whole platform, for lack of a better word, because he wasn't a candidate until now, has been taking what he has done in Florida, the legislation, the policies he's implemented, and taking that national. Is there evidence, you think, that this is going to work for his candidacy?
That's a great question, Jillian. And I think what has been the focus of the coverage is the anti-woke stuff. Woke, Florida is a place where woke goes to die. That's his line from his acceptance speech.
Sick.
And a lot of the focus has been on the legislation that deals with that specifically. But there's other legislation as well that this governor has started and signed into law that they say totally lays out the conservative values that he's going to campaign on. So I think he's going to use that as a blueprint, as somebody who has done it in Florida, and some things that we haven't really talked about that much.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox.
Yeah, all of this is bullshit, dog. He's like fucking literally, in my opinion, he's probably losing favor. We don't have enough data to back this up yet. But if I were a gambling man, I'd say that like his policies have actually caused him to lose favor internally inside of Florida. Okay? And part of the reason for that is because my man is hurting businesses. He's doing the number one no-no, which is, touching business interests. Conservatives hate that shit. Okay? It's like kind of the whole point of the culture wars is to distract you away. I always say this. That's a major no-no. So the idea that like you're doing your very best, the idea that you're like, looking at a national facing front, a national campaign, and you're using Florida as a testing ground for this national campaign, where you're actually advocating to harm business, harm the profits of the Florida businesses is not going to be good. He's also radioactive with his like, the way that he appears on television. It's really fucking weird. Like he's so, yeah, I said Herm. Shut up. Oh my God. Everyone is a baby, dude. I swear to God. Okay, DeSantis, Twitter. Let's see what the fuck is good on Bloomberg Television's take. I want to hear like we heard the analysis from Fox News, but what does everyone else think about it? What are some other outlets that think about it? What are they saying about Ron DeSantis? Okay. Gotta score this terrible drip. Make America Lorda. Oh my God, this is so fucking bad, dude. Yeah, no, this is so bad. Thread about the U-Haul that crashed near the White House. Yeah, we'll look at it later. So there's a lot to talk about. I've covered Ron DeSantis's like bad policy ideas and whether or not they will be popular with the Republican base many times over. But what I do want to focus on now is the Twitter Space like announcement. Doing it on Twitter Spaces. Like, is this a good thing? Is this an L? Is there a W? That I think is interesting. Ron DeSantis is like chances of winning. That part is, that's just dumb as fuck. No one cares in the Republican primaries. Mehdi Hassan says, it'll be fascinating to hear Musk, the free speech absolutist, grill DeSantis on the latter's well-documented crackdowns on Florida on free speech, the free press, and their books and Twitter Spaces conversation. He'll grill DeSantis on free speech, right? Yeah, of course not. Yeah, obviously not. Obviously. That's, that would never happen. That would be a ridiculous expectation. I think DeSantis probably calculates that he needs to win the internet primary at this early stage before actual ballot campaigning starts. Yeah, I still think it's stupid because there is no such thing. Like, I think people greatly overemphasize like the importance of the internet, and the internet is very important. The internet is very good at like targeting hyper niche places. The internet is very good at targeting hyper niche communities in a way that you never could, but the internet is so vast. There is no way of consolidating every single person to one fucking area. Even on Twitter, you can't get everyone to hyper focus on one specific area. Okay? So it's just not going to happen. The internet is so incredibly fucking vast. The internet is so incredibly vast that it's very difficult to like consolidate eyeballs into one specific area and get all of them to pay attention to it in the same way that television still can. They can do it in a little bit better, in ways that are a little bit better than the internet. That is, of course, talking about, Rhonda Stinky choosing Twitter as his first place.
I don't think he made an error in taking on Disney. I think that was a shrewd move. And I think most people support that. I think he may be carrying it a little
they
far,
don't.
But I think people are with him on this.
No, they don't.
I think that the fundamental fact of the DeSantis candidacy, though, is unfortunate, which is that I don't think he can win. Trump is still way, way, way ahead. But what he can do is, because he's chosen to run a campaign that is entirely on the right, way over hard right on abortion, hard right on guns, hard right on all of that. In a way, he's forcing Trump to move to the right, which would make him less acceptable to the moderates in the general election. For example, DeSantis passed a law saying that you can only have an abortion within 6 weeks of pregnancy. Most women don't know they're pregnant after 6 weeks. The other view, which Trump hasn't embraced, but was out there, is 15, where there's kind of a consensus about that. And the problem is that if the right-to-lifers and the strong anti-abortion people try to force Trump to match DeSantis bit for bit in these positions, DeSantis could move the dialogue to a point where no candidate that can win the nomination would win the election.
That is an honest conversation among strategists. If you were to ask like old school Republican strategists that triangulate way better than the Democratic Party, they would probably say that in their more honest moments. I'm surprised that this was featured on Newsmax, for the record. Okay? But he's absolutely correct. We'll see what happens, though. I think that Ron DeSantis is greatly overestimating how popular, like, Make America Florida, even if it's not his, like, actual campaign, even if it's not, like, his official campaign announcement, if he thinks that like Make America Florida is a viable strategy, even if it's not his announcement, it's the vibes of the campaign that's putting out, he's got another thing coming. Okay? No shot. Banning abortion at 6 weeks is also psychotic in general, cruel, unusual, but also, you know, it's just not good. It's just not, it's not successful national politics. It's not even successful in fucking Floridian politics. They're giving our children medication, brother. Dexcom G7, what the fuck? Why can't I? Oh.
News now about Florida Governor Ron DeSantis. NBC News has learned he will launch his presidential bid tomorrow evening in a conversation with Elon Musk. I want to bring in NBC News correspondent Dasha Burns. Dasha, what are you learning?
Hey, Chris. Yeah, we are first to report that Florida Governor Ron DeSantis will officially step into the national spotlight, launching his bid for the White House tomorrow night on an event on Twitter Spaces with the tech billionaire mogul Elon Musk. They will be in a discussion moderated by David Sachs, who has been a supporter of Governor DeSantis. Now, this is an unconventional way to step into this presidential announcement, but it is what the campaign is looking to do, is use the reach of Elon Musk's more than 140 million Twitter followers step by traditional media and get directly at conservative voters. Look, the staff, the campaign, the now official campaign almost, has watched Twitter become an increasingly friendly space for conservative firebrands. They've watched as Tucker Carlson has migrated his presence and his show there, and they feel like this is a space where he can really have an impact with this announcement, both in terms of reach and also in terms of the sort of themes and the contrast that they can draw between DeSantis and the other contenders here, particularly between DeSantis and former President Trump. He, as soon as he announces, will become the top challenger to former President Trump. And of course, as we all well know, Twitter used to be his platform. It was his superpower to talk directly to the people on Twitter. And now it will be Florida Governor Ron DeSantis that is utilizing it to use it as a springboard for this presidential launch. One of the sources that we've been speaking with told us that in the conversation.
It's so fucking stupid. No. It's dumb. It's dumb. I just don't. I mean, first of all, you know what's more likely? Twitter Spaces crashes. That's more likely. 'Cause that would be fucking hilarious. Oh my God, Donald Trump is going to make so much fun of Elon Musk and also so much fun of fucking Ron DeSantis as well. It's crazy that people think this will have any traction at all. No, it will. It will have traction because people will cover it. People will say, oh my God, how unique, how interesting. But it's a gimmick. I think a lot of people forget that, like, there's a reason why traditional shit works, okay? It's a fucking gimmick. And that's a one-off, okay? It doesn't say anything about your perspective, or what it says about your perspective is really fucking stupid. That, like, you think Twitter is a safe haven for, like, conservatives. Well, sure. But, like, Twitter alone is not going to float you, you fucking idiot. It's not. Twitter can't even fucking float itself at this moment.
Between,
like, your goal shouldn't be to help out Elon fucking Musk establish Twitter as like a good platform. Like, you're doing more for Elon Musk in that regard than for your own campaign. It's very stupid.
Musk in the campaign, he made it clear that he believes that former President Trump cannot win again. He believes that DeSantis can. He believes that DeSantis is the future. And the contrast that the soon-to-be official campaign is looking to draw is just that. They will be looking to draw the contrast of future versus past, of success versus failure, of action versus talk. That is what you're going to see as he steps out into the field officially here. And we're going to see him launch a video in addition to this conversation on Twitter Spaces, which, of course, is an audio.
He needs a pro-business look, though, after Disney. Bro. First of all, Twitter Spaces doesn't even have video components, so that's going to be hilarious to see. I can't wait.
Platform for audio conversations on Twitter, but he'll have an official video, and then next week he will do a swing through some of those critical early states, hammering his message officially as a presidential candidate. Chris.
Angie's List is losing the list. From now on, it's just.
I don't even think Elon has that kind of juice anymore. Look at Trump's lead in the GOP.
For now, it is the former president who is the far-out frontrunner for his party's presidential nomination. And while he is going through the bottomlands in terms of his legal troubles in civil court, in criminal court, in state court, potentially soon in federal court, I mean, whether or not that makes the far-right Republican base voters like him even more, him being the standard bearer again for his party, it just isn't good news for his party. I mean, yes, Donald Trump was elected in 2016 to the White House. Yay for Republicans. But then in the next election after that, in 2018, Republicans lost more than 40 seats in the House. And the next election after that, their Republican president, Donald Trump, became a one-term president. He lost the White House while their party also lost the Senate. Then in the next election after that, a midterm election after the election of a new Democratic president. Historically, that means the Republicans should have cleaned up. This is a midterm election where Republicans were predicting they picked up 40, 50, maybe even 60 or 70 seats in the House. Republicans instead in 2018 ended up with a single-digit win in the House. What happened to the red wave? They were so flummoxed by how poorly they did in 2018 that when they finally squeaked over the line to be able to pick a Republican speaker, it took them 15 ballots and 5 days to do it. It was the first time in a century it had taken more than one ballot, and it took them 15. So 2016, yeah, okay, but then 2018, no. 2020, no. 2022, no. Even this year, 2023, in an off year, the elections last week, Democrats won contested special elections in swing states like New Hampshire and Pennsylvania. They won big mayor's races away from the Republicans in previously reliably red places like Jacksonville, Florida, and Colorado Springs, Colorado. In Jacksonville, it was a Democrat who won the mayor's race. In Colorado Springs, it was an independent, but that was the first time ever somebody who is not a Republican has won the mayor's race in Colorado Springs. I mean, just looking at how Republicans have done in elections in the era of Donald Trump, having Donald Trump as their standard bearer of their party has been bad for them. It has not been good for them as a party. And, you know, maybe it's not fair to only judge them by what their standard bearer has been able to achieve politically. Of course, there's lots of states that are under Republican control. Aside from Donald Trump, how's it going politically in terms of the national political image for the Republican Party when you look at what's going on in states run by Republicans? Well, they haven't exactly been cleaning up on big political winning issues, just in the current news cycle. I mean, this was the headline in the Wall Street Journal today. Arkansas seeks to end school desegregation settlements. Arkansas? School desegregation? Why does that ring a bell? I mean, literally, the state of the Little Rock Nine, the state where federal troops had to be used to desegregate the schools by force, years after the Brown versus Board of Education ruling that said segregation was illegal. That state, under Republican leadership from Sarah Huckabee Sanders, now that state is deciding that they're going to get rid of desegregation orders for all their schools. Because surely that's never been a problem in Arkansas. This comes hot on the heels of Arkansas blazing a trail in Republican governance. against child labor laws as well. Because yes, who among us in America has not laid awake at night worrying that the big problems we need bold leadership to address in this country are the fact that schools can't be segregated anymore, and ooh boy, do I hate that there are child labor laws. Don't worry, Republicans are in control in Arkansas, and they're on both those big problems.
Rachel Maddow has not factored into the consideration that the children yearn for the mines, which is a simple mistake. The real mistake. Okay? The children yearn for the mines. Why? So they can buy a $5 a month subscription at the Hasanabi broadcast to avoid the top of the hour ad breaks, which come at the top of every hour. If you no longer want to see those ads, all you need to do is subscribe. Some of those children that come from the mines, that go back to the mines, then also will turn around and gift subs to others, because that's another way that you can avoid the ads at the top of the hour. You can also get gifted a sub if you're lucky, or use your Twitch Prime for free. Muscular Pants, thank you for the 5 gifted subs, allowing 5 people to no longer see the ads. Here's a 3-minute ad break now.
In Indiana, under Republican governance, their new law there on books in schools threatens school librarians with felony convictions. Felonies. Threatens to put librarians in prison if they don't abide by Republicans' new book bans. The Indianapolis Star recently reported on how Captain America comic books were among the books being banned in Indiana schools now for being somehow offensive to Republicans. Apparently, after that ended up in the paper, they decided that Captain America had been removed in error and they needed to put him back. But that's the kind of level of...
Folks, all clouds are bunnies. Thank you for the 5 gifted subs. I once again ask myself, who's this for? Like, the main goal for dumb shit like this is supposed to be, because this is culture war shit, it's supposed to be to, like, capitulate to a very active voter base that you want to target. Okay? But I don't know who's like, man, I'm so glad we're banning these books, brother. Like, it's just not working like that. I don't see it. Maybe I'm fucking wrong. Maybe I've lost the plot. Maybe these Republicans are fucking absolute crazy, okay? Sure would, make my commentary a lot easier to just say that and leave it at that. But I personally don't think the normies are demanding that, like, books are fucking banned. I'll give you a good example. Your Rage Gaming. Now, Your Rage Gaming is far from a normie. He actually does consume a lot of political content, but he does have normie adjacent takes in many respects. Charlie also covered another aspect of this story that I'm going to mention here, okay? But I saw something that I found very interesting. Now, of course, hopefully the not safe for work photo that he posted on the timeline is gone. Okay, it's gone. Didn't want to show that to you. But here, look at this. Philip Lewis posted, a staff member at a Florida school says the state decided what books were appropriate and inappropriate and shows huge box filled for books waiting to be removed. Okay? Your Rage looked at this and said, this is crazy. For the record, this apparently is fake. Broward County schools have confirmed that the video showing the normal inventory books at the end of the year, these books are not currently being removed. You're definitely out of touch. They eat up this trans shit. They only watch Fox News. No, man. No. I don't think people want to hear about trans people constantly. It gets fucking annoying. Just like people don't want to hear about racism constantly. It gets fucking annoying. And then all of a sudden, liberals have like a bad rap and everyone's always like, oh man, fucking libtards are getting offended again. No one cares about someone being offended over and over again. You get offended one fucking time, that's fine. You make a big stink about it one time, that's fine. You make it your entire fucking real lives work. That's all you do is like hysterically fucking endlessly yell at like librarians and school teachers and all the like that, you know, normal people are interacting with on a regular basis, that have family members that are fucking working in schools and shit like that, they're going to start getting annoyed with you. Okay? Hey, brother, think about what you are doing right now. God bless. Wait, what? Culture war issues that are supposed to be distracting are supposed to be fun, okay? When you get to a point where someone like Rage is saying, this is crazy, only part of Florida that matters is South Florida, everywhere else is some yeehaw shit aside from Tampa and Orlando. But, like, when you got a guy like Rage saying this is, like, too much, even though this is fake news, okay? When you got a guy like Moist Critical making a video about, like, a manga being banned from schools, that is... at least for a younger audience and for an audience of like more normie adjacent people, like people are starting to get annoyed with this kind of endless crying, okay? Nobody likes smarmy, self-important crybabies, okay? It's not for anyone. I don't know whether to applaud or cry about this post investigation showing that the majority of book challenges were filed by just 11 people. This is the media world we live in now. Yeah. The objections to sexual LGBT books or whatever the fuck are literally coming from the most annoying psychopath you've ever fucking encountered. It is like the abortion shit, except worse, because at least the abortion shit was like 35 fucking years of like active pushes coming from the white evangelical Protestant base of voters that were captivated by it. The anti-LGBT shit is like one mom who's bored, who like is fucking being crazy about it. It's always a couple fucking moms that like are the most annoying moms you've ever fucking seen. CNN actually talked to a Moms for Liberty person, and I want you guys to take a look at this person and tell me if you think that this fucking freak.
Governor Ron DeSantis.
I want you to tell me if you think that this fucking freak, like, because these are the freaks that we're talking about. Is this the one? Oh, yeah, here it is. A sit-down conversation with Moms of Liberty. I want you to tell me if you think this fucking freak has, like, any kind of national prominence. If you think this fucking freak is going to be popular with all the other moms who see them, okay, who see moms like this and go, ew, gross.
This week brings a renewed spotlight on what opponents called his Don't Say Gay law. It initially banned teaching Florida students about sexual orientation and gender identity through the third grade. It's been expanded last month through high school. Opponents call it dangerous and vague. It's led to book bans that have included authors such as Toni Morrison, Margaret Atwood, and Judy Blume. It's part of an overall conservative push on education across the country.
In the state of Florida, we're proud to stand for education, not indoctrination in our schools.
The left
I lit her out already. She didn't pee or poop.
wing rioting and mayhem are the direct result of decades
Every
of
time she barks
left-wing
doesn't mean she wants to poop.
indoctrination.
Sometimes she does attention barking. Other times she barks. Sometimes she's barking for attention because she's bored and wants to get out of the crate. Other times she's actually barking. Other times she's actually barking because she actually does have like a valid reason, like she needs to get out. She learned barking equals attention. Oh no, dude, from day one she's been barking. She has a very... Dogs also famously have a very loud bark too. So they're like, I mean, not really much I could do. I don't really respond at all when she barks, except for when I think that she's barking because she wants to poop. But it is what it is, you know? I'm turning my head when she's not barking.
In our schools.
The Democrats believe that parents shouldn't have a say in their kids' education.
Parents want schools focused on reading, writing, and math, not woke politics.
The left is trying to hijack women's sports, and our schools are on the verge of becoming breeding grounds for liberal and progressive ideas.
Daniel fucking Cameron, baby. Kentucky's very finest. Gigantic piece of shit. Mitch McConnell's like own protege.
DeSantis' law also led to his ongoing fight with Disney. One of the people he appointed to a board that was supposed to provide more oversight of Disney was the co-founder of a group called Moms for Liberty, which has advocated for these classroom fights in school districts across America. Ellie Reeve has more on who they are.
By exposing our children to adult concepts such as gender identity, we are asking them to carry a load that is much too heavy for them.
Might I suggest instead of anal sex, perhaps we could go back to teaching cursive?
This book is not appropriate, and it is in your schools.
Moms for Liberty is a parent activist group. It began in Florida in 2021 to protest public schools being closed for COVID and mask mandates. The group became a frequent and spicy presence at school board meetings.
This is about more than masks, for the record.
But now there are more than 250 Moms for Liberty chapters nationwide, the group says. And it has gained major conservative allies and morphed into something else, a campaign against supposed indoctrination of children on race and sexuality.
I have the right to say, I don't want my kids to learn this. I don't agree with this movement.
No barking.
And that's my right.
So books should fall into that category.
Like, you mean to tell me that lady, like other ladies that look exactly like her, are not going to fucking look at that and go, ew, she's gross. Like, what the fuck?
As well.
We wanted to understand what's driving these moms on a deeper level than some viral videos. So we met with the Moms for Liberty chapter in El Paso County, Colorado, where conservatives won majorities on 3 school boards in 2021. Leader Darcy Shanning let us watch a meeting where they talked about how to pressure those boards into making the policies they want.
What school districts are most of you guys in?
What Moms for Liberty has become most famous for is claiming school libraries contain books with pornographic content, and for trying to get some books removed. Some of those books listed do talk about sex, but according to the Supreme Court's definition of obscenity, they're not porn.
I've read a lot of criticism of your group. People say that this is kind of like a moral panic, that people have an irrational fear of what's going on.
We're not looking to ban books. We're not looking to burn books. We just need to get back to a system where parents know what their kids are learning, and for the most part, it's educational and not political.
One of the books on your list is Kurt Vonnegut's Slaughterhouse-Five. I mean, it's considered one of the classics of modern literature.
Right, I read that in high school.
Well,
Yeah.
why would you want that removed from the
No,
library?
you don't, again,
It's
age
on the
appropriate.
list.
What might not be appropriate for a 6-year-old is appropriate for a 15-year-old.
Is someone assigning a first grader the Slaughterhouse-Five?
No, but again, it's the right of the parents to know that it's there, that their children have access to something that they may not have access to at home.
One of the big issues right now is pronouns. In March, Colorado's District 11 school board considered a proposal to prevent teachers from asking kids their pronouns, sparking protests.
Teachers can no longer ask kids their pronouns. That's right, no more grooming kids with pronouns in D11.
The school board has tabled the proposal.
Why is asking a child their pronouns indoctrination?
If you ask my children, who are 7 and 8, what are your pronouns? They don't even know what that is. So when you ask that, you're planting the seed in their minds that they maybe should identify as another gender, or that identifying as another gender is hip or cool. Hey, my teacher's asking me, so maybe this is what I should do.
But I certainly never felt that way about my teachers. Like, I didn't learn I was heterosexual from my health teacher. It was from like watching 90s movies with Brad Pitt in it.
Yeah. Well, I think that's how most of us are.
Children can get on there.
We wanted to hear what some of the more liberal parents had to say. Some of them sat in on the meeting, and one passed me this note calling it a hate group. The next day, we met with those parents.
For the record, have any of your kids ever come home and said, I am feeling peer pressure to be gay or trans?
No.
Naomi Lopez is a speech pathologist and works in a District 11 school.
First of all, we're not going around saying, okay, now I want you to think about it. What gender are you?
Yeah.
Like, that's not happening.
They say
Period.
it's happening.
It's not. My personal beliefs, my personal viewpoint on the world does not come into the classroom. We are professionals with degrees in pedagogy.
And she's also the mom of a transgender student.
So, I'm sorry, can you ask me again? Because I'm getting pissed off.
What,
You already got a trans daughter.
Why does it make you emotional to talk about this stuff?
she trains their own daughter, and now she wants to train your daughter. What the fuck? Do you think anti-trans Republicans are watching CNN reports? Wait, what? No, dude. This is for you to get a better understanding of what some of these freaks look like. She's not one of them. But I want you to see what these fucking freaks look like, because that's who is going to be representing this movement at the parent-teachers conference. And your mom is going to go there. Your mom either works at the school or your mom is a parent there. She's going to see this fucking psychotic person who's like basically seeing red. And she's going to think, that's gross. My kid has gay friends. They're fine. They're pretty kind. Okay? Not this person. I'm talking about the other one. The freak who was like, yeah, you can't read Kurt Vonnegut in first grade. It's like, yeah, no one is reading that, you fucking loser. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? I'm trying to say that, like, the people that represent your movement, if your movement is not like one that has broad public support, and this certainly doesn't, okay? If the people that represent your movement are like the sweatiest, grossest fucking losers, which the abortion protesters were. They were fucking freaks always, right? And then on top of that, the abortion was like broadly popular in comparison to the trans movement is not as popular. There's more apathy towards trans people than anything else. But the counter movement, like the pro-choice movement, was incredibly popular, significantly more popular than the abortion one. But there was actually an anti-abortion movement. There is no like genuine anti-trans a grassroots-backed movement that's saying like, that's going to legislators and calling up their offices to be like, you need to stop transing our children immediately. You need to stop the schools. Like, it's completely created by lobbyist groups and special interest groups that are getting paid by churches, that are getting paid by like nefarious Republican projects. It's all, none of it is grassroots. It's all like, it doesn't have a real audience that looks at those bills and goes, thank God they're doing the right thing, brother. Okay? No one is fucking turning around and going, thank God they banned the one fucking 12-year-old trans person from like participating in swim meets in the state of Utah. You know what I mean? So when you're astroturfing this shit, it's not going to actually have an ROI that you expect if you genuinely push for this kind of bill. They are foolish. Republicans are behaving in a manner where they're stupid enough to believe their own bullshit. Like, why would you believe your own astroturf movement? I'm willing to bet that there is no anti-trans as a single issue constituency in the United States of America. It never shows up in the polls. It never, ever shows up in the polls. If there was a constituency, there would be like, I don't know, 10% of the Republican voter base that's like, I want to deal with this trans shit. I want to kill all the trans people, like something. You know what I mean? It's always triggering the fucking libs, protecting gun rights. That's it. They don't even say fix the economy anymore. They just say triggering the fucking libs. That's like the major thing. Read some online hog forums and you'll know it's true. Yes, what you're talking about is, again, hyper-specific. Hyper-fucking-specific. You're looking at people that are on the r/conservative subreddit. How many real fucking conservatives are on the r/conservative subreddit, dog? Get the fuck out of here. Doesn't trans stuff fall under wokeness? No, wokeness is everything. That's like ridiculous to say that it's just trans stuff. Girl Divya says, I don't care if it's a grassroots movement or SIGs, this is still harming us. Yeah, obviously, that's not what I'm talking about. If I were to sit here and be like, is the anti-trans movement and the Republican state legislatures passing bills genuinely harming trans people? Of course it is. That's not my point. That's not what I'm talking about right now. I'm talking about the electoral consequences. I'm talking about who they're doing this for, why they're doing this, okay? It's important to understand that. Like, it's important to assess that the overwhelming majority of American citizens are just apathetic. They demonstrate apathy towards trans people. They do not have like genuine hatred in the same way that like Matt Walsh has. That's important to understand for one, electoral considerations. And that's even important to understand for like understanding American society and American culture, and making interpretations about what the future might look like is what I'm doing here. If most people just have apathy towards trans people, and one side is manufacturing this outrage machine that's like hysterically crying about children's genitals all the fucking time, all the fucking goddamn time, eventually those people are going to be perceived as overall negative. People are going to look at them and go, yeah, those guys are like hysterical. They're fucking smarmy, they're annoying, they're attention seeking, and they're fucking hysterical. There's always a pendulum swinging in the other direction. It happened under the Obama administration because under the Obama administration during, for a long period of time, the liberals were canceling everything. It's cancel culture. And the Republicans latched onto that. But the reason why that was like such a permanent thing was because, yes, a lot of liberals were very fucking smarmy and very annoying and constantly woke scolding. And more importantly, cutting your commodities, cutting your commodity consumption, telling you can't have that treat. Your treat should be different. It should be designed to tailor my needs. Okay? That shit will inevitably always frustrate Americans because all we have are the commodities that we consume. All we have are the treats that we have. So if this fucking anti-trans shit keeps going on and they're advocating for it, even though there is no real viable constituency that like demands it, that makes it their single issue voter thing, if they keep fucking doing that, inevitably people are going to be like, I'm done. I'm not even voting. This fucking bullshit. I don't give a fuck. Okay? You can't tell conservatives not to eat jalapeno poppers because, Applebee's decided to have a trans spokesperson. Because after a while, they're going to go, fuck this. This sucks. Fox shows the trans shit as the libs getting owned. That's what I'm trying to explain to you. It doesn't matter how much they try to fucking make it seem like they're getting owned. They don't want CNN to go to school board meetings. It does not matter. It doesn't matter. I promise you. You saw the electoral consequences of hyper-focusing on, like, children's genitals during the midterms. Biden was supposed to get fucking destroyed. The economy was worse than ever before. Inflation was sky high. And the Republicans couldn't even get a supermajority in either of the fucking House or the Senate when all electoral prospects at the time for them looked incredible. The only reason why they didn't do that is because they fucking hyper-focused on dumbass bullshit. There was no red wave. You have to remember that. If there is no viable fucking constituency, and we're going off the whims of like 8 fucking people. I talked to a lot of hogs, brother. I wish it wasn't true. They think I'm a pedo for pushing trans rights. Yeah, there are gonna be fucking freaks. I'm not saying that there aren't freaks. I'm not saying that there aren't freaks. But the idea that, like, every fucking gay person or trans person is a pedophile is not going to work in the fucking suburbs. Okay? It's not. Kaya, shut the fuck up. Stop. Sit. Sit down. Sit. Shut up. Sit. Sit. Hey. Oh my God. She's being fucking so annoying. I don't know. I can't tell if she needs to poop or if she's being fucking annoying. I don't know. I don't know if she's just like, yeah, we're not talking about Kentucky. We're talking about swing state white women. Yeah, exactly. We're talking about suburban upper middle class individuals. That's like the voter base for either party at this point. Okay. How do you captivate the suburban upper middle class individuals? If you constantly fucking talk about children's genitals, they're not going to vote. They're not going to participate in your fucking party antics anymore. And that is what happened in the midterms. Okay. And it's not like the 19 fucking 80s any longer. Okay? It's not the 1980s any longer. Depressive voter turnout actually favors people like Joe Biden in this regard.
I get emotional when other people who don't have children, who are transgender or queer, place an assumption on it for the sake of persecution based on their own belief.
When you're putting all this curriculum everywhere and you're telling kids, hey, you could come talk to me behind your parents' back. I got your back. I mean, there's a clear move to bring more of that into our schools, and it's just not the school's place.
So, what I feel like you're strongly implying, and I would like to get your take on, because I don't want to attribute something that you don't think, but to me it sounds like you're saying there's some kind of high-level coordinated effort to make more children trans and gay.
Yeah.
Well, who's directing that?
Teachers unions and our president and a lot of funding sources, and teachers unions are also heavily backing the curriculum that we're bringing into schools.
Why would they want more kids to be gay and trans?
Because it breaks down the family unit, which breaks down traditional conservative values. It breaks down a lot of...
This is perfect. Oh, fuck. I forgot the best part. I'm sorry. I got to run it back. This is best part.
And
This is very important.
And I would like... What I feel like you're strongly implying, and I would like to get your take on, because I don't want to attribute something that you don't think, but to me it sounds like you're saying there's some kind of high-level coordinated effort to make more children trans and gay.
Yeah.
Well, who's directing that?
Teachers unions and our president and a lot of funding sources, and teachers unions are also heavily...
I'm sorry, but if you think like upper middle class white moms, like wine moms that are like otherwise conservative, are going to look to someone like that and go, wow, she's really spitting right here, you're out of your fucking mind. If you're talking to a dumbass hog who's like already broke and still voting for the fucking Republican Party, that's entirely separate. This is some QAnon shit, man. And the broad majority of the country does not agree with it, okay? You might have Republicans that are outspoken about it. You might have some crunchy granola people that agree with the QAnon shit, but like, this is schizo posting on the main. Huh.
Backing the curriculum that we're bringing into schools.
Why would they want more kids to be gay and trans?
Because it breaks down the family unit, which breaks down traditional conservative values. It breaks down a lot of things in this country. It changes the way that people think. It changes the way that people handle politics.
Of course, there's no evidence of a coordinated plot to make kids trans.
When I hear those thoughts about like some sort of concerted effort to make people gay, does it sound like a conspiracy theory to you?
It's not a conspiracy theory that the state, whether you're talking about Colorado or the federal government, is taking a stronger and stronger...
So fucking annoying. Like, the way she carries herself, I put her upstairs in the balcony to poop because she's been barking too much and I think she needs to poop. After that, I'm going to crate her. What's up? What are you doing? I just put her in the balcony, Murat. If you want, you can take her out after she poops. Okay. And then crate her after.
Stronger hand in public education, in raising our kids. So do I think that for some reason people want everyone to be gay? That's a mischaracterization of what I think. I think that people will use, the people that want to erode away at parental rights, the left, the teachers unions, they'll use LGBTQ or whatever may be the case at the time. Those are just tools to erode away at parental rights.
The last D11 meeting of the school year was mostly about student awards and performances. The board seemed to anticipate the few Moms for Liberty members in the crowd.
As we reflect over the last year, removing...
Someone in the chat said, Someone just in the chat said, it's weird seeing someone with hand tats talking about traditional conservative values. That is exactly what I'm talking about when I say motherfucking people with blue hair are no longer just SJWs, okay? I see it every fucking day, man. I see it every day. We look at hogs nonstop. A lot of hogs are they're the aesthetics of like who a hog is and who is actually a liberal, a libtard, or whatever is not as clear and as well defined as you thought it was. Those lines are fucking blurred now. There's a shitload of crystal mommies who are QAnon, for example.
Rogue woke clubs, teachers, woke teachers, and woke counselors from D11 is a must.
and a couple of students pushed back.
If you remove teachers' ability to ask for pronouns, you will remove the ability for safe spaces to exist, taking away the safety of your students.
I want to recognize our students and the support staff that are supporting our students out there.
My child thinks it's ludicrous that it's such a big deal because to them it's just normal. To their friends, they don't care how my child identifies. They love them for who they are.
And Ellie Reeve joins me now. Is it clear to you which side of this debate has the most support or momentum in that school district, for instance?
Well, to be clear, Shaning's kids have never gone to public school. She says she doesn't want them
Wait
to
a
be
minute,
guinea pigs.
her kids don't go to public.
That part! Always. Always, bro. They either A, never have children go to public school, they're homeschooled, or B, don't even have kids in general. You're going to tell me that moms that go to the fucking parent-teachers conferences and shit are going to see this like hysterical, panting, cackling hyena in the background, and someone's going to ask her the question, so where do your kids go to school? She says, oh, I homeschool them. You think those moms are going to ever take that fucking entire movement seriously? Are you out of your fucking mind, dude? No. They're a nuisance. They're fucking annoying. No shot, dude. Yo, is this a VOD because I've seen this episode before, goddammit? No, it's not a VOD. It's just a consistent factor, always.
Public school.
No, they have never been. She hopes maybe by high school, the schools will be good enough for her kids. The other liberals we talked to, the liberal parents whose kids do go to that school, they say it's not the majority opinion. So, for example, one parent complained about 5 books, and that meant that the district had to create committees to determine whether those books were obscene or they could stay. And in the end, all 5 stayed, but one parent who served on that committee said it was just a huge waste of time and resources.
Ellie Reeve, thank you. Really fascinating.
There you go. There you fucking go, dude. I hope you understand. Someone in the chat said, remember, they don't care about what their children are learning. They care about what other children are learning, and that's the truth. You always have to remember that. They're here to stop your children from getting the education they want to get. How do we get here, though? We got here because there's no real audience for this.
Sophistication Republicans are playing with in Indiana right now. In Florida this weekend, the NAACP had to issue a travel advisory for African Americans, for Black travelers, advising that recent changes in Florida law under that state's Republican governor and Republican legislature mean that Black travelers need to, quote, beware that, quote, your life is not valued in the state of Florida, essentially saying that if you are a person of color, traveling to Florida should be consented to only at your own risk, because that state is against you. I mean, whatever your politics are, whether you agree with what these Republicans and Republican governors and Republican legislatures are doing in the states, you still can see, right, that this isn't exactly a thrilling national platform on which Republican candidates are going to be eager to run for the White House next year, right? Like jailing librarians, banning abortion, banning books, undoing desegregation orders for schools, getting rid of child labor laws, right? I mean, regardless of who their standard bearer is going to be, it's either going to be Donald Trump or it's going to be somebody else who has this record of current models in Republican governance to run on. And regardless of, you know, who their standard bearer is going to be, whether it's going to be Trump or not, regardless of the unpopularity and extremity of how they are governing in the states they control, I mean, the one hope they have for taking back the White House next year, for taking back control of the executive branch, for taking the presidency in 2024. The one thing that is in their control, the one thing they can control about the country as a whole, the political climate for the country, the one thing they can do single-handedly is control the economy. They can control that. That is in their hands. Democratic President Joe Biden is, of course, running for re-election. And, you know, he's running for re-election having brought.
Another consideration for Republicans to always remember as they hyper-focus on, like, culture, always, is that they mistake the Republican Party's undemocratic methods of, like, they mistake the Republican Party's undemocratic methods of, like, seizing control over state legislatures by way of, like, gerrymandering and shit for, like, genuine broad base of support. That's not real. There is no genuine broad base of support for criminalizing abortion, for example. There is none. There's a genuine broad base of support for protecting abortions. Okay? There is no genuine support for anti-trans bills that are being cut. Doesn't matter. I don't care. I'm sure you've listened to a million different debates. I'm sure you've seen so many motherfuckers overall talk about, but trans people participating in sports is, like, unpopular. Doesn't matter. This is not a people mover. Okay? It's not. I've never met a single issue voter outside of, like, extremely online weirdos. I've never met a single issue voter who's like, we got to fucking kill trans people. We got to abolish transgenderism. We got to make sure gay people don't exist. Like, that is not a fucking real human. That is a human being that is just loud as fuck and extremely online. So you see them all the time in the spaces that we frequent because we are also loud as fuck and extremely online. Matt Walsh does not represent the average person. You say you live in LA? Oh my God, you are such a fucking idiot. Dude, my mom's Uber driver was talking about how gay people are pedophiles to her, okay? You think Los Angeles doesn't? Los Angeles has more conservatives than your dumbass, cousin fucking, podunk hick town, okay? Shut the fuck up. The greater metropolitan Los Angeles County fucking area literally has a totality of conservatives that is larger than, like, fucking entire states and their Republican populations. You're so fucking stupid. You're such a dumb fuck that you don't even understand mathematics. Ronald Reagan and Richard Nixon are from California. Okay? I'm not even talking about leaving LA. LA is deep blue, but there are still more fucking Republicans, even in Los Angeles, than entire fucking states. Shut up. Oh. I get what you're saying, but isn't trans acceptance part of the woke culture that so many conservatives cry about? Also, didn't we just see a poll yesterday that over 60% of Republicans want something done against wokeness? No, wokeness is everything bad. It's like cancel culture. Everything bad is wokeness. It can mean anything and everything. It can mean trans people, certainly. It can mean CRT. It can mean anti-black measures. It's just all encompassing. They've been conditioned into thinking anything that is bad is wokeness, okay? That's it. That could be substituted for segregation, or civil rights in the civil rights era. That could be substituted for communism during the Red Scare propaganda era. It's just like whatever the fuck the broader reactionary movement is declared as bad. It just means, like, the enemies. In theory, they call it a floating signifier. What is this? Rick Scott issued a travel advisor for socialists visiting Florida. Today, Senator Rick Scott, formal traveler notice states, Florida is openly hostile towards socialist communists and those who enable them. Before traveling to Florida, please understand that the state of Florida devalues and marginalizes the contributions and of the challenges faced by socialists and others who work in the Biden administration. Dude, this is so funny. Yeah, LA has more Republicans, I imagine, than the whole of Miami-Dade County. Of course it does. LA just has more liberals, and significantly more liberals than there are Republicans, but there are also more Republicans in Los Angeles even than fucking entire states and their Republican voter registration numbers. Oh, yeah, we are going to talk about Minnesota. Oh my fucking God. Minnesota has been fucking sexy as hell, dude. I mean, straight up. We'll cover all that in a second. Let's finish
the U.S.
this.
unemployment rate down from 6.3% when he was sworn in to 3.4% today. Unemployment rate is lower right now than what we had in the 90s, than what we had in the 80s, than what we had in the 70s. The last time unemployment this low was 1969. He's created millions and millions and millions of new jobs in his one term as president thus far. And that, of course,
this is so dumb. I think that metric is just not one that anyone is going to look at and go, wow, that's really good, actually. The economy is doing well. When real wages are lower than they were under the Trump administration due to inflation. And that actually pairs up with like half a century of data as well, where wages across the board have stagnated as productivity and therefore profits have skyrocketed, which means that even if the jobs are all filled, if everyone is already fucking employed, it doesn't mean anything because no one's getting paid enough to feel good about it. So when no one's getting paid enough to feel good about it, then floating the unemployment numbers is not changing anything. That's it.
of course, is terrible for Republicans' political prospects. But they can't control anything about Donald Trump, apparently. They apparently can't restrain themselves when it comes to governing in a way that might be nationally attractive to swing voters. But they really can control the health of the economy with this debt ceiling thing. In this debt ceiling fight, that is within their control. And they know it. If they refuse to raise the debt ceiling, the White House Council of Economic Advisors has just released a report saying the consequences of that will be that millions of Americans will lose their jobs. More than 8 million Americans will lose their jobs. The economy will contract radically. The stock market would fall by nearly half, by 45%. If the default is protracted, a simulation the White House Council of Economic Advisors have done shows, quote, an immediate sharp recession on the order of the Great Recession in 2008 and an unemployment increasing by 5 percentage points. So we'd go from 3-point-something% unemployment now to 8-point-something% unemployment instantly, right? That would be terrible for any president running for re-election in those circumstances. And that is absolutely within Republicans' control if they want to unleash that on the country. They can use this debt ceiling fight to do that to the country if they want to do it to reap the political rewards in the fight for the White House next year.
You're a conservative sound? What is this? What the fuck is this, dude? No! What is it? What is that? What the fuck is that? What is that? That's awesome.
Damn, this guy's good.